Hi, I'm Melissa, a registered nurse, nurse practitioner, and a certified nurse midwife from the United States, and the founder of Medical English Melissa. So as you probably already know, the English that you need to pass IELTS or TOEFL is different than the English that you need to pass NCLEX, and certainly super different from the English that you need to be successful on your first day as a new nurse in a US hospital. So for the past 5 years, I've worked with international nurses teaching them medical English and helping bridge this gap to get them from the English level that they're at when they pass IELTS to the English level they need to be at to be successful in a US hospital. I focus on spoken English and slang and cultural issues that come up with real-life situations with nurses and doctors and patients to prepare you not just for success with NCLEX, but with success in an actual US healthcare setting. So because of this, I'm thrilled to be partnering with NEAC starting this September 24th when we launch our Medical English project together. I hope to see you there.
This September, NEAC, a groundbreaking global collaboration is launching, uniting expertise, innovation, shared mission to empower healthcare professionals worldwide. Stay tuned.
Systems Plus College Foundation is located at the heart of Angeles City, Philippines. With its nearby landmarks such as International Airport, malls, museums, Subic Clark Tarlac Expressway, North Luzon Expressway, and churches. The institution is undeniably an ideal place to study. Systems Plus College Foundation offers programs that are relevant and responsive to the needs of the nation. College of Arts and Social Sciences, College of Business, College of Education, College of Engineering, School of Criminology and Criminal Justice, College of Hotel and Restaurant Management, College of Nursing, College of Computing and Information Sciences, top-of-the-line equipment, Modern Learning Center, state-of-the-art facilities. Develop students holistically through culture and the arts. We are industry specific. We ensure our graduates are job ready. Today, Systems Plus College Foundation is on its way in achieving its goal and becoming one of the prime institutions in the national and international arena.
The path to an international medical license is paved with endless research and time-consuming paperwork. That's why it is important to get it right the first time, avoiding costly mistakes and delays. Choosing the right state and nursing board can feel like navigating a maze. Your education, working experience, license, exams and certifications, and countless other factors determine your eligibility. And even then, application rejection is a looming threat. Navigating the decentralized medical exam application process is difficult, and mistakes are all too common. Filling out forms incorrectly, deficiencies in the exam application, wrong application sequencing, incorrect international exam fee transfers, exam application rejections, submission of application to the wrong department, unqualified for your chosen country or state of application, and more. Any of these can derail your application. Going it alone can lead to financial loss, agonizing delays, and the crushing blow of rejection. That's where NEAC comes in, the pioneer and #1 choice for international medical professionals seeking a hassle-free and safe path to licensure. From expert consultation to seamless document processing, NEAC ensures your application is flawless. We provide multi-level proof checking, fast follow-ups, and unwavering support. With over 100 professionals, NEAC has the expertise to handle even the most complex applications. Focus on your review, your career, your life. Let NEAC experts handle the intricate licensing process so you can prepare for your exam with peace of mind. NEAC is committed to excellence. Our mission is to make your journey to international licensure hassle-free and risk-free. All you need is the desire. We'll handle the rest. NEAC is an authorized agent of True Merit CGFNS. NEAC is officially recognized by the Office of the President of the Philippines CFO Department, Commission on Filipinos Overseas. NEAC is the global pioneer in medical licensing application services. Trusted globally, highly experienced, award-winning, proven track record, operating since 2007. Guaranteed success, 100% approval rate. Protected payment, safe and secure. Industry's top choice. Don't wait. This is your chance to take the first step towards your international career. Formula of success. Decide now and take action. Want to know if you're qualified to take the examination in your desired country? We offer a free pre-qualification assessment. Send us a message to get started. Thank you for participating, and we can't wait to help you achieve your international dreams.
webinar begins in 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0.
NEAC, the global leader in NCLEX and medical licensing,
In collaboration with the medical English expert, Melissa Avila.
with special participation of Systems Plus College Foundation.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to MedTalk webinar, and here are your hosts.
Great. We're live from NEAC Studios. Hi, everyone. I am Melzen.
And I am Gilbert Pineda.
Welcome to MedTalk webinar.
We've got viewers joining us from 7 different time zones today. So let us get to know you. Drop a comment below and let us know where you're watching from.
Yes, that's right, partner. A big warm welcome to all of our friends tuning in from the Philippines, India, the Middle East, London, Africa, the USA, and Mexico.
By the way, Zen, we have special gifts to our attendees tuning in today. Melson, we will pick 5 winners who will get 30% off of NEAC initial service fees. And here's more. We will pick 5 winners who will get 200 pesos GCash. So make sure you tune in as we will pick the announced winners after the Q&A sessions. So I hope we can also join this Q&A session, Zen.
I hope so. Isn't it amazing, guys? So make sure you are tuned in till the end of this webinar to grab one of those cool giveaways from NEAC. Also, for those who want to avail our upcoming project, the special medical English program with the expert, we have pre-enrollment form which you can find in the pinned comments below to secure a priority seat.
And also, we have 2 very special co-hosts joining us today from System Plus College Foundations. Let's welcome the ever-supportive Miss Celine Guerra and Miss Rose Soto.
That's right, partner. Our first co-host is Miss Rose Angelis Soto, a nurse educator and a curriculum coordinator at College of Nursing Systems Plus College Foundation, a registered nurse in both the Philippines and the United States of America with a Master of Science in Nursing and is a licensed professional teacher.
Thank you so much, NEAC, and of course, Melzen and Gilbert for that warm welcome. We're really excited to be here tonight. In fact, we've got our 3rd and 4th year nursing students tuned in and joining us for this webinar. It's such an honor for our university to be selected as a co-host for this global event, and we're all looking forward to learning more about MedTalk together. I'm also thrilled to be joined this evening by my co-host, Miss Marcelina Celine Guerra. She's our language facilitator here at Systems Plus College Foundation with expertise in English, Italian, and Spanish. Miss Celine has also led our language reinforcement and enhancement unit, and with her background in economics and international experience across education and management, she brings so much value to our students and professionals alike.
Just a quick reminder, when it comes to the exam and other medical licensing processes, NEAC has you covered, from scheduling your exam all the way to getting your license. We make sure you can focus on passing while saving money, time, and effort, and avoiding risk of losing your application or disqualification. For over 20 years, NEAC has been the global leader in NCLEX processing and medical licensing. With over 100,000 nurses, we help get licensed internationally. And going back to the topic, here's what we learned recently. Review centers may help you prepare for the NCLEX. However, there's something else that can double your chances of passing it. You know that? Do you know about it? And today we are going to uncover what that is.
Here is something every aspiring USRN or any nurse preparing for an exam need to know. Studying for the exam is really important, but mastering medical English is what truly makes a difference. It may sound surprising, but this is often why many nurses pass IELTS and TOEFL, yet struggling with the NCLEX.
Exactly, Miss Rose, and thank you. Thank you. And with that, let's not keep our audience waiting any longer. To officially open today's session, it's my honor to introduce our founder, mentor, and CEO, Dr. L.B. Ackman, who will share a brief overview of our MedTalk project and what this collaboration means for NEAC. Please welcome Dr. L.B. Ackman.
Thank you for that nice intro. Hi, welcome to NEC's global event. I'm Dr. Albi Akman, founder and CEO of NEAC. Today, I'm very excited to introduce a new service that will support NCLEX applicants, not only in passing the exam, but also in succeeding in their careers in the United States. For about 20 years now, NEAC has been dedicated to one mission, empowering nurses to gain international licenses. This way, giving them better career options and leverage to negotiate with US employers as USRNs. That's why we always say get licensed first and look for a job after. By simplifying the complex NCLEX application process as NEAC, we free nurses to focus on what matters most. And that's studying for the NCLEX, not figuring out how to apply for NCLEX. To date, we have proudly guided about 100,000 medical professionals. After about 20 years of helping nurses, we know English plays a major role, not just in passing exam, but also in succeeding in US hospitals. Even with high ESL scores, NCLEX can be tricky. With many correct sounding answers, nurses who only masters medical English spot the right choice faster. You may think, I already speak English fluently, but medical English in American hospitals is very different from daily or clinical English in your country. In healthcare, small miscommunications can lead to errors, affect patient care, or create serious problems leading to legal actions. Against the hospital or sometimes to medical professionals like nurses. So we see thousands of skilled nurses face these kind of challenges every year. So unfortunately, while this being the case, that's why we are now introducing a special training program complementary to NCLEX review designed to boost your NCLEX passing chances and help you communicate like a seasoned USRN in US hospitals, building your skills and confidence. We are proud to launch MedTalk with Melissa. Melissa is an American USRN nurse practitioner who graduated with honors from the University of Pennsylvania, #1 ranked nursing school, by the way, in the United States, an Ivy League institution. She completed her clinical training at some of the top hospitals in the United States. Since 2020, Melissa has been working with international nurses to prepare them for careers in graduate level education in the United States. She's a TEFL certified English instructor and the founder of a specialized medical English program focused on advanced communication skills required for clinical practice and professional success in the American healthcare system. Melissa offers high-impact admissions and interview coaching also, with a 95% success rate for nurses gaining acceptance to their dream schools. Well, today, I'm very excited and honored to introduce Ms. Melissa Avila. For you to get a first look, what is she offering for you now and in coming programs?
Hi, everyone, and thank you so much for that lovely introduction. Blushing. Thank you, Dr. Ackman, for that. I appreciate it. And yeah, so it's so nice to meet everyone here today. Thank you for being here. And I'll tell you first a little bit more about my journey and how I got here, and then a bit about what medical English is. And then we're going to do a mini medical English lesson and some questions, okay? So first, my background. So I am, as Dr. Ackman mentioned, I'm a U.S. registered nurse, a women's health nurse practitioner, and a certified nurse midwife. And I was born and raised in Southern California, Orange County, California, to an immigrant family. My dad's side is from Mexico, and so there's two things that I'm very passionate about. One is nursing and nursing education, and the other is the immigration process. I'm fortunate enough to be the product of my grandfather coming to the U.S. with my father and creating the American dream. And they went from working in the fields to creating a Mexican food restaurant, to creating a business that was successful enough that my whole generation was able to go to good universities. So I'm super grateful for that. And now I'm continuing my journey in finding ways to give back and help bring nurses to the US and give them the best education opportunities possible and the best career development and help them along the way. So basically what happened was is I was graduated from University of Pennsylvania in 2016 and was working clinically until 2020. And as we all know what happened in 2020, life made it so that I was not in the US when COVID happened. I was abroad with my partner at the time in Scotland, and we all went on lockdown. And I decided to make use of my time since, as you know, nursing licenses are different in different countries, right? So my US nursing license wasn't relevant in the UK for NHS. And so I decided to spend my time learning a new skill while we were all locked down. And I got my English teaching certification and started developing medical English. So I started teaching English and realized that there was really nothing for people that wanted to learn the English that I spoke with my colleagues at work. There was the English that you could use to pass exams, and there was the English for going to the grocery store and ordering something, but there was no English to help nurses and doctors and the people I was trying to teach be able to be ready and successful in clinical settings, because medical English in the US is particularly unique in that we use all the medical terminology, but we also use a ton of shorthand and slang, and we have an entirely different way of speaking that breaks all the grammar rules, and it was really confusing for my students. And so I started developing a program, which I'll explain a little bit more later. And so I've been teaching medical English and walking with nurses on their journey to the US for the past 5 years. It's been the coolest thing ever, and I absolutely fell in love with teaching. It's been such a special, important thing in my life. And then recently, I came to Mexico to work specifically on a project in Mexico helping Mexican nurses prepare for NCLEX and the exams and get ready to find employers in the US and have successful careers in the US. So I'm here working with the US Embassy and with the Mexican government trying to create programs and do that here. And so this is why NEAC and I are partnered up, because I think we share this passion and the values of being nurse-centered and ensuring that nurses have have the most leverage, as Dr. Ackman mentioned, and they have all the skills ready for employers so that they're able to choose the best employer and set themselves up for success in the US. And so thank you so much again for being here, and I'll tell you more about medical English in just a moment.
Thank you, Melissa. Now that you've learned about Melissa's journey and NEAC News collaborative project with her, make sure you follow us on our social media to get updates, bits of tips every now and then. Straight by the expert of medical English to boost your chances of passing the NCLEX. And we have pre-enrollment form. You can find it to the pinned comments and chat box below. By the way, beware of fake pages pretending to be us. Again, take note, NEAC is only one official Facebook page. So make sure you follow the NEAC page with 453,000 followers.
Yeah,
I
hi,
think
Miss Rose. I think it's time for your short comment about Melissa. We would like to hear from you as the clinical instructor here in the Philippines.
Yeah, so thank you so much, Melissa, for your inspiring journey. It's really motivating to see how your passion for nursing and education has grown into a global mission that continues to uplift and empower nurses. Your vision with the MedTalk project is a wonderful reminder of how nurses can create meaningful change beyond borders.
Thank you, Miss Rose. And then for the next session, yeah, Miss Melissa, please go ahead. Thank you.
Great, thank you. Yes, so now to explain a bit more about what medical English is. So there are, as we know, we communicate different ways in different spaces. So the way that you speak to your friends is different than the way you might speak to a professor, is different than the way you might speak to someone at work or a stranger, right? So we have different ways that we talk to everyone. And what happens with medical English is that we have a very unique way of speaking to patients. So we communicate differently with patients than we do with our medical colleagues. And so there's two places where medical English becomes really important. One is understanding that the way that we use medical terminology, the way you learned in school, is not the same way that a patient from the US is going to speak to you. They're going to use colloquial terms or slang terms that aren't medical and that you need to understand what they mean, right? So we have a lot of phrasal verbs and things that come up when they describe their symptoms or how they're feeling, or when we explain how to take a medication. Things like we say glucose to each other, blood sugars to them. They might say that they're feeling woozy, and we might chart it as vertigo. Right? There's all these different ways that we have to translate from regular English that American patients use to medical terminology, and then there's this thing that we do with each other, which maybe you've seen if you've watched TV shows like Grey's Anatomy or some of those medical dramas. You'll see how differently they speak in the hospital. Although we all know that Grey's Anatomy is not the most medically accurate. If you're a nurse here, you know that. It's actually very accurate as far as the language that's used. That is how they speak, with a lot of the slang and the abbreviations. And we have a different way of speaking. And from my experience working with hundreds of nurses as they go into the US, what I have found and what they tell me is that this is where they struggle most. So what happens is they pass their English exam, they pass NCLEX, they go to the US, and then all of a sudden this moment happens where they realize, oh my gosh, I have to get report from like an American nurse, and she's gonna be there with her pad, and she's gonna want to go home and go to bed because she's finishing night shift, and I need to speed it up and write everything down really quickly, understand what she's saying when she rattles off the vital signs and all of her terms. And I need to be able to do this, and then I need to be able to safely tell that to the next nurse or the doctor or the pharmacist or the med student. And this is where people tend to get overwhelmed. And this is also, unfortunately, where mistakes are made. And so what I work to do with people is find the areas that they need help the most, and help them practice so that they're prepared, for being able to do these things with American nurses and doctors. And so the way I've developed this is I spent a lot of time teaching, and I studied what I call high yield topics. And so that means there's two things that play into this. There's how often an issue comes up and how problematic it is, right? So how important is it, and how often does it become a problem? And if you take those two topics and you overlap them, that's what I call high yield issues. And that's what I've based my medical curriculum on. So if you were to buy a book on phrasal verbs, one of those big, one of the Cambridge books, and try to memorize all of them, it would take you years. And so what I do is I focus on the ones I know through my clinical experience that we actually use every day in the hospital, and highlight those phrasal verbs, for example, and highlight the, so we focus on the advanced English instead of going advanced English in general, just the advanced English that you need in a healthcare setting to help you communicate well with your colleagues and prevent you from making mistakes, and also cultural issues so that you can be firm but polite, and you know how to joke around, and you feel comfortable making friends at work. So that's what medical English is, and it will help you with not just NCLEX and the medical terms that you need for NCLEX, but also how to communicate with your colleagues.
Thank you for that, Melissa. Before we proceed with our next session, I would like to greet our participants from over the world. We have someone from Harrisburg, USA. We have from Papua New Guinea, from Kuwait, and we also have from Dubai, and we have a lot from Angeles City, Pampanga. Hello, everyone.
Wow.
Good evening. Thank you for joining our session tonight. Yeah, and going back to our topic, yeah, so nursing is truly one of those professions the world depends on every single day. In good times or in crisis, nurses are the heartbeat of global healthcare. And the reality is the demand keeps growing, especially in the US, where many nurses are reaching retirement age. And according to study, by 2030, it's estimated that over 200,000 nurses are needed to fill in the positions. And with that growing demand, we all know that language skills are key. It's not just about passing the NCLEX or IELTS, which are both required to work as a nurse in the US. That's why Miss Mel is here to walk us through why English matters far beyond the exam and how MedTalk courses can help nurses succeed in the NCLEX and give you more leverage, as Dr. Ackman mentioned earlier.
Thank you so much for that. So yes, so we've talked about why medical English matters, what the difference is, how it can help you. And now we're going to go into a mini medical English lesson. Is that correct, everyone? Did I skip over anyone, or we're good? Okay. So we're going to do a mini medical English lesson, and I'm going to teach you a few of the terms that you need and explain some of the major concepts in medical English to help you prepare. Okay, so I'm going to screen share. Give me one moment. We all know this takes a moment, so. Okay. And everyone can see my screen, it looks like. Okay, so we're going to be talking about English beyond IELTS or TOEFL, English beyond the exam, the English that you need for NCLEX and in a US healthcare setting. And so, let's see if I can, there we go. So in today's mini lesson, we're going to be talking about very, very briefly. These are topics that, by the way, are entire sections of a course, but we'll be talking about collecting a patient history and US colloquial terms, conducting a physical assessment, which we won't get into, but some of the medical terminology versus common language that we use for patients, to give you some examples of that. And then a few examples of giving report and talking to medical colleagues and the biggest problem areas and where I see the most crucial mistakes made most often. Okay. So let's talk about what you might hear during visit when you're talking to a patient and asking about their history and differences in phrasal verbs. So I chose this as an example because these are all phrasal verbs that we know, but they have such different meaning, right? So if someone were to say to you, what happened to your mother? And they said, she passed out. That has very different meaning, right? Than she passed on or she passed away. So one means she lost consciousness, and one means that the other two mean that she died, right? So choosing this little difference in the phrasal verb that you use makes a very, very big difference in the way you might misunderstand a patient. Can you imagine telling someone that their mom passed on instead of saying that she passed away, right? So it makes a very, very big difference, and you want to feel very comfortable with it. So I want to also touch on she passed out. We call that, so we'd say that to a patient, but we document it as if she experienced LOC, loss of consciousness. And LOC can also be used as a level of consciousness. So it's context dependent. And that's how you would document that. And then the other thing is we also sometimes say passed out to just mean that we fell asleep quickly. And there's no way to know the difference. You just need to pay attention to context. So I could say, man, I was so exhausted from clinical, I just came home and passed out, which doesn't mean that I lost consciousness. It means that I fell asleep quickly, right? So this is one example. So I want you to remember that. Other terms that you might hear someone say when you're collecting a patient history that not all of my students know is if someone were to say, I can't keep food down. So this is a phrase that we use, and this is how we say in English that you're unable to eat without vomiting. So if someone says I'm unable to keep food down, we might chart that as persistent vomiting for how long it's been, right? So I can't keep food down, or I'm feeling queasy. And this is a term that I think, just like every culture, there's different generational terms. This is something that maybe my mom might say and I might not say, but you'll hear people say it. I'm feeling queasy, and it's another way of saying that you're feeling nauseated. And then there's terms that you'll hear from patients like throw up. Everyone knows throw up. That's the phrasal verb to vomit. but there's also barf, hurl, puke. And if you're talking to someone older, they might say to toss your cookies. So there's many more than this, but there's all sorts of slang that patients use that when you're taking notes, you need to know how to take it from that to whatever you write in a chart note and how to ask the right follow-up questions. And then when you're talking to patients, there's also all the different ways that we describe symptoms. So this is an entirely different category. We have a lot of idioms we use here. So the most common way to have a patient describe paresthesia, like that what we call like a tingling or prickling feeling, you'll hear people say, oh, I don't know, I have a pin, it feels like pins and needles, or it's a pins and needles sensation. So if you don't know what I'm talking about, this is if you like sit on your hand for too long and it's that really unpleasant feeling when there's a loss of blood flow. We say pins and needles. And so when someone says that, that's how then we would chart it as paresthesia. So there are many, many more for symptoms, but these are some examples to get your brain going on all the ways this might be different and to start understanding the importance of knowing the difference between the two. Okay, another one that comes up is with physical assessment or talking about body parts. So we all know the Latin-based medical terms because we learn them in school, but there's a lot of slang, or not even slang, just colloquial, everyday, like the way English is like spoken English terms that are different, and patients won't use the medical terminology that you learned. They will use the terminology that they learned at home. So some examples of that, and I have them matched up down here below in case you want to figure out where they matched up, is we would say in document scapula, but a patient won't say scapula. They'll say shoulder blade. And so we might document something about the color of the sclera of a patient's eye, right? But we won't ask a patient about the sclera. We'll ask them about the color of the white of their eyes, the whites of their eyes. So do you see the difference in the language? And then the classic one is abdomen versus stomach. So we'll document where a patient has abdominal pain, right? And if you're nurses, you know about documenting which of the 4 quadrants. You say the pain is in the lower right quadrant, right? A patient is never going to say that. They'll very, very often say that their stomach hurts, and they do not mean their actual stomach, the organ, they mean their abdomen. And so if someone says their stomach hurts, we can't assume that it's a GI issue, right? It could be any of the organs in the abdomen. So it's really important examples of where knowing the difference between the way a patient speaks and the way that we document matters. So, and there's the little matches of the 2 below. So you can take note of that if you're recording or screenshotting. Okay. So that's what the patients might say, and there's a lot more with that. There's also things about how to navigate cultural issues, and how to talk to patients about giving bad news, hard conversations, how to comfort patients in American culture, what's appropriate, what's not, and things like that. We'll save that for another topic. So now we're going to go on to what medical colleagues can say. So there are some main issues that come up. There are idioms, phrasal verbs, collocations, and slang. And these are what I find most often in advanced English come up in medical English, both on the NCLEX exam and when you're speaking to people. Not so much the phrasal verbs and the slang, sorry, not so much the idioms and the slang on NCLEX, but absolutely when you're talking to your medical colleagues and patients. So, just to cut, everyone usually remembers what an idiom is and what a phrasal verb is, but a collocation is just words that go together that we don't have a good reason. If you just want to sound like a natural English speaker, they go together. So for example, we always say, oh, this big, beautiful house. We never say big, pretty house. For some reason, and there's not a rule on it, these are just the words that in English we've decided sound good together, and it's important for sounding more natural and having people understand what you're saying. So that's a collocation, and then of course a lot of slang. Now, the times when I see this come up the most are in vital signs. So times that I see the biggest problem areas in miscommunications with English for English learners are with vital signs, the condition of a patient, like how a patient's doing in a hospital. So for example, do they seem like they're going south, right? Are they out of the woods? Are they turning a corner? Right? There's all these idioms that we use that you have to know them in order to understand how a patient's doing. Lab trends and medications. And so these are usually issues with verbs and adjectives. These are things that go up and things that go down. So I call them like trends and increasing and decreasing terms. We do not use the standard English terms for this. And they're very, very important to know because this is how we speak in the hospital. So we're going to get into some of them, but first, one other thing that you just have to memorize bit by bit, and this is not just from being an English learner, this is also something that we all learn when we're in nursing school in the US. And this is what you say as initialism, which is when you say each letter in the abbreviation, and what you say as an acronym. And there's no logic, and I'm so sorry for English, and I don't know why we do this, but this is just what we do in a medical setting. So you can say MRI, so MR, it said out loud as MRI, and CBC and ICU. But then we have ones that we say as NICU and cabbage, and there isn't really a good reason. There's not really a pattern in it. So why we say for neonatal ICU, we say NICU and not NICU. And then for ICU, for intensive care unit, we say ICU and not ICU, right? That's not logical. There's no reason, but these are the ways that we do it. And saying cabbage for coronary artery bypass graft, instead of saying CABG, we say cabbage. So you'll call that a cabbage, like the actual vegetable. And this is just something you have to learn along the way, just like we did in school. Okay. So now for vital signs, which is one of the main topics. So there are many, many examples of this. I chose a few to talk about for you today. One is to spike a fever. So the term and the verb to spike a fever. This is only used when we're talking about fevers. So we say it's a quick, sudden increase. So we can say the patient spiked a fever. And then an additional one is when the fever starts coming down, and this patient starts heading towards afebrile, we say that the fever broke. And these are both verbs that we use to describe fevers. Another really important one to know is to crash. So to crash is when the vital signs drop suddenly and dangerously. So you might know this one because we also call the machine that we roll into the room when someone's coding a crash cart. So maybe you've heard that, but this is when the vital signs go down dramatically. Crash. So if you want to remember this, just think of an airplane going down very rapidly and crashing. So to crash. And so they'll say the patient is crashing, or we call a code, the patient's crashing, right? This is different terms that we can use. And then bottom out. So we use the term to bottom out, usually with blood pressure. And this is part of crashing, but this is only used for blood pressure. This is when you see it go very low, very rapidly. We could say the patient's blood pressure is bottoming out. And so these are terms that we use for vital signs, and these are terms that we use with other medical colleagues. And so it's important to know what they mean, because if another nurse or a doctor says one of these to you, you need to know what to make of that information and what to do about it and how to communicate it with someone else, right? The next one is terms that we use for medications. So there are hundreds of these. I've chosen a few that I think are really popular and that we say every single day. We say these more than the standard English way of saying to increase or decrease. So we say to bump up. We use the phrasal verb to bump up, and it means to raise a dose or a rate. So to increase it, right? The example is, so let's bump up the Lasix to 40. This is a very common phrase that you would hear. So let's bump up the Lasix, or, and I noted the phrasal verb because I say it both ways. You can say, let's bump the Lasix up to 40. Notice the placement of up after Lasix. Or you can say, let's bump up the Lasix to 40, and both are correct. And you can also say, and this is one of the ones that we say every day, to go up on. So we don't say increase the dose, we say, hey, we should go up on the med. Have you thought about going up on the med? And that just means to raise the dose. So, for example, let's go up on the metoprolol to 50 mgs or milligrams BID twice a day. And this is something we would say to someone. Okay, so those are the ones for going up. And then I chose two of the most important ones for decreasing and or stopping. So decreasing and stopping. And this one you've seen in chart notes probably, or you've heard someone say in a medical drama, and that is to DC something, and that's to discontinue something. So to stop a medication or an order. I want to note that this is context dependent. When we chart DC or someone says to DC, it can either mean discontinue or to discharge, like to discharge a patient. So the patient's been the patient's been DC'd, the patient's been discharged versus the medication's been DC'd, it's been discontinued. Classic example, we can DC the IV fluids once they're tolerating PO. This is something, it's exactly how I would say it out loud in a hospital. This is what you'll have a nurse or a doctor say to you. We can DC the IV fluids once they're tolerating PO, once they're tolerating things orally by mouth, right? But out loud, we'll say PO. And the next one, to wean off. So this phrasal verb is used when we're going to reduce something gradually. So I hear this used with medications that you can't stop all at once because it's not safe. So, right, we're going to wean someone off oxygen. We're going to wean someone off pressors. We're going to wean someone off a steroid, right? So to wean someone off, so gradually reducing it. So we're going to wean the patient off pressors overnight, right? So these are two really important terms to know. Okay, so that concludes my very brief medical English lesson for you. And if you would like to reach me for more free content, you can find me on Instagram or on Facebook. Facebook is a club, so it's more interactive and there's free, more fun ways to learn. And then Instagram is if you want like mini lessons and content. The other thing I wanted to point out here is PIT. So I also want to recommend the PIT. I was talking about how much you can learn from medical dramas. The PIT is a new medical drama that came out that is the most medically accurate one that we have ever had in the US. It just won a bunch of Emmys, and it is great for English learning. I use it with my students right now, so I'd recommend watching that first with subtitles in your own language and then with subtitles in English because it does move very fast, but it's incredibly accurate. And so watch that and you can learn from that. And of course, the main way that you can learn with us is our collaborations with NEAC. So we will be doing webinars for you to learn medical English and to increase your medical English for NCLEX and for working in the United States. And I will pass the mic back over to the NEAC team. Thank you so much for joining me for my medical English lesson.
Yeah, thank you, Melissa. And need to take note that, Melzen, it's the pass on and the pass out. So that's why it's very important to learn the medical English program, right, Zen?
Yeah, I only know that because I am not a registered nurse. And yes,
Okay.
thank you so much, Melissa, for that wonderful discussion. And again, for those who want to avail our upcoming project, the Special Medical English Program with the Expert, we have a pre-enrollment form which you can find in the pinned comments below to secure a priority seat. And now we will dig deeper into why mastering the English language is crucial for passing NCLEX and if you want to work in the US hospitals. And Miss Mel will now share the real-life scenarios and how it could go wrong if phrases or idioms are not understood or used correctly.
Okay, so I think that so I apologize. I think that I think I did the medical English lesson a little
It's
bit too soon.
mhm.
So I'm happy to share more if you want me to share more. I can give some examples, but I'm gonna go ahead and someone let me know if you want me to present a bit more or carry on to the next because the examples were the thing I just gave. So I'm gonna mute my mic and someone let me know if you want me to share a bit more. I'm happy to. Someone
Actually,
from
Miss Mel, we
NEAC.
are having a lot of comments on our chat box here in Zoom.
Okay, great. Yeah, I'd happily answer some questions.
But before to start our Q&A, Dr. Ackman will be something to share.
Yeah, actually, I'm not supposed to talk at this point, I think, right? But I just want to share a comment, just my opinion so far. I think this is really an eye opener even for me, Melissa. It's really nice. I mean, considering that what you're teaching is maybe just 1% of what's going on in the American hospital settings, and this the information you are providing is so vital for nurses who will be working in the United States, and it should be like part of the nursing college's curriculum. It sounds like I mean, for nurses who want to go U.S. An optional class or course or something. It's really eye opener. I just wanted to share that with you. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you for sharing that. I completely agree, and I would love to see this implemented and put into curriculums in nursing schools because it is so important. And you guys, it was painful for me to only choose a few examples for you. Like each of these could be like a 3 hour long lesson at least. So I wanted to give you some examples to help you consider what to think about. But oh, it was so hard for me to skip so many things. So yeah, it's very, very important to learn.
Yeah, so that was really insightful. Thank you, Melissa. As we've just heard, miscommunications can be dangerous in healthcare, and that's exactly why learning medical English, especially used in the American healthcare environment, is so important. And here's some good news to everyone who are tuning in, especially our third and fourth year nursing students. Enrollment is now open for MedTalk NEAC's medical English course, led by their very own expert, Melissa Avila. Take advantage of the early bird rates if you sign up today. Just head over to the NEAC website or simply click the link in the pinned comments on your screen or Zoom chat box to get started.
Thank you, Rose. Yeah, we've come to the exciting part of our webinar. So our audience, of course, will get the chance to ask Melissa a questions. Of course, if you have questions, please raise your hand or send a message to our chat box.
Yeah, actually, partner, we have a lot of comments on our chat box and questions. First, let's read question from, okay, let's see. From Angelica Aurelio, USRN. May I know how much the course cost and how long and how often the classes are held?
Yeah, so this is information that we're going to release at a later date. This is our teaser course where we are showing you the importance of medical English, and you will have to hang tight for an announcement on more details on the course coming soon. So this is right now we're focusing on the collaboration of giving you some medical English together on this webinar, and we'll release more information very soon. So hang tight, as we say in English. So hold on, and we will share that soon.
Thank you, Melissa. And any other questions from our chat? Let's see.
I saw some in the comments, but I can't keep up with them. There's too much.
Yeah,
Someone
there's so
has
many
to read one
comments.
to me. Yeah.
Okay, let's check.
I think we have this one. For aspiring USRNs, what advice can you give in overcoming language barriers, which are common challenge among foreign healthcare workers?
Yes, so I would say that the advice I have is uh, one, obvious, the very obvious advice is to practice as much as you can, right? And to get as much exposure as possible. So things like not just medical English classes, but also practicing with your colleagues, also in English, and challenging each other to learn new things, and having study buddies to encourage you. And the next thing is more about like a mental state and than anything, but to not be afraid to speak because people often delay their learning because they're so afraid of making mistakes in new uncomfortable settings that they tend to not take risks. So I would encourage you to speak even when you're scared, and that's how you'll gain confidence. And I also want to encourage you to say that the U.S. is a country of immigrants, right? And so there are a lot of people that will, be your superiors at work that are also have made it through the English learning journey, and to be encouraged by them and to realize that plenty of people in a healthcare setting have accents and are still successful. And of course, it's things that you'll work on, but don't let it stop you from starting now, and don't let it discourage you. So that'd be my two things that I would emphasize the most. But really, my advice is just to practice a lot. And if you're going to practice anything, the two things I see people get stuck on the most after working with hundreds of nurses is giving and taking report, because it happens so quickly and we use so much slang, and answering the phone. So if a doctor calls to check on a patient, this, because you can't see someone's mouth moving and you can't see the reactions, this tends to really throw people off. So I would practice those two things the most.
All right. For me, Melissa, I have a question. Are these terms, slang, collocations, idioms seen in NCLEX?
So you won't see the slang or the idioms on NCLEX. You will see, especially with the phrasal verbs and some of the different ways of describing symptoms. So what I've been doing, so the way that I mentioned I developed medical English was spending a lot of hours tutoring and then noting the most common mistakes. And so recently I've been doing that with NCLEX, specifically like NCLEX English. I've been looking at that. And I think the thing that comes up most often are the questions if you've seen NCLEX questions, you know how often they're about how you talk to patients. And this is when issues with phrasal verbs and different medical English issues come up the most, when there's patient teaching questions in the NCLEX or a patient's describing symptoms in one of the questions.
Okay, thank you, Lisa, for that answer. So we have questions also coming from our participants. The name is from Mark Jandersom. Are there mentorship or body system in the US to help international adapt?
Uh, so this would actually be a really good question for NEAC. I'll answer what I can, but they are especially focused on more of the immigration process, and preparing you for that. But I will say that it depends on where you work. So there isn't any official supportive system, but hospitals have ways of having this. So usually when you start off working, you have a preceptor, right? And that person supports you through the process, and you have an onboarding process, and that teaches you all about that particular hospital and the rules of that particular hospital. And some programs have residency programs. So that's a term that we use where you're studying, you're working as a nurse, but still with some supervision, and they're also teaching you additional learning. So those are the supportive systems that officially exist in a hospital system. But what I think is really important is continuing to find community of people that are doing the same things as you along the whole journey, so that you create your own support system, and you can share about your experiences with people, and you can feel like you're not alone in it. I think it's really important to build support systems for yourself in this process.
Yes. Okay. We have another one here. Yeah, we have a lot of actually questions here. We have from Flanky Manzo. How different is your English class from the English classes given at NCLEX Review Center?
So, oh, I think very. So the English that I teach and what I focus on is not based on books, basically. It's based on it's based on books and then clinical experience. So it's not based on something that's NCLEX classes tend to be based on just what you read in the books, and they teach particular parts of it. And what I focus on is the things that you wouldn't know unless you were in a US clinical setting. So I focus on the kind of like the subculture of US healthcare and the way that we talk that isn't really documented anywhere, but is nonetheless the way that we speak to each other. And so I pulled from a bunch of different sources to focus on what I call like the high yield topics, right? The most important topics. And so it's not anything like that. There are parts of it that I'm sure there's overlap, but generally I focus on spoken English and the things that you couldn't learn because it's not going to be all in one book.
Thank you, Melissa. So we have another questions from Manzo Flanky. And what are the requirements for an international nurse to become a USRN? I think Ira will be able to answer this,
Yeah,
how to process how
yeah.
to become a
I'll
USRN. Yes.
pass that question over to
Yeah.
her.
Go, Ira.
Yeah, so it's a very nice question. This is the good news for students. The only thing that you need is your Bachelor of Science in Nursing diploma. So the moment you graduate, it is the go signal for you to apply for the NCLEX exam. Either you maybe some of they will say you get the NLE, but yeah, it's right. But the only if we are talking about the requirements, the only needed is your BSN diploma. It's just the matter of where are you going to be eligible under what state. So yeah, that's good. So wherever you don't have working experience or IELTS exam or local license, you can still be a USRN and take the NCLEX examination. Thank you, guys.
Thank you, Ira. Yes. Miss Celine and Rose, do you have questions to Melissa?
Okay, I have one question for Melissa. Melissa, can you share a time when a misunderstood word led to miscommunication with a patient or colleague um, in your experience as a nurse?
Yeah, absolutely. So, fortunately, the pass out versus pass on, I've only seen with practicing with students, and I'm really glad to have caught them in that air. So, that one, fortunately, I've not seen in real life because that would be really bad. But one that came up is that one of my, it's actually a cultural one, and that is what we say to patients to comfort them. So, I work with a lot of South Korean nurses, and it's very common for them to wish people good luck. Interestingly, and I don't know how it is in the country that you're in, so feel free to share if you say good luck to patients often. We don't in the US if they're going in for a procedure or surgery. For some reason, culturally, saying good luck can sound like less secure because it sounds like you're leaving it up to chance. So saying if someone's going back, you're wheeling them back to surgery and you say good luck, it's actually not very comforting. We usually say you're in good hands. So we usually say something nice about our colleague, general and nice. Dr. So and so is a phenomenal surgeon. You're in good hands. And that's the most comforting thing we say to a patient as they're going in for something really scary. And we tend to not say good luck. And I had a nurse that realized after the fact that she had been saying good luck to all of her patients, and I was like, "Ooh, let's adjust the way we say that." It's not a life-threatening issue, but it's enough that it was not good. Does not make a patient feel good. So that's an example of a cultural one, and a lot of cultural ones come to mind, and the communications that come up tend to be with things getting misunderstood from one person to another and getting miscommunicated and something getting missed, like important medical decisions getting missed or getting miscommunicated.
Yeah,
Yeah.
thank you, Melissa. So it all boils down, no, to transcultural nursing, right? That's why we're also strengthening that course in our school um, these days, the transcultural nursing, because we meet different people, especially foreign here, also in the Philippines. Yeah, thank you for that.
Absolutely.
Yeah, for our I think we still have some questions, no? From Noe Jan Tabungkura, how can nurses practice active listening to ensure patient understanding, especially when accents or cultural expressions differ?
Mm. Okay, so the question is about just the general art of active listening and then cultural things. I love talking about this. So yeah, there's things that we can say to patients when they're talking to us that can comfort them and show we're listening, which we all learn in nursing school. Let me think. So first of all, the most common thing is body language, right? And we all know that. So that's we tend to nod our head and a lot when a patient's talking and say so we make a lot of noises to sort of agree and to say and then we say something that repeats something the part of what the patient might say. So if the patient says tells them about a really difficult time, we might say, wow, that sounds like it was really tough for you. Or they tell about a positive thing. Wow, it sounds like it was a really good thing that your mom was there to support you through that. And we tend to, and I think this might be true in every culture, but shorten what the person said, summarize and say it back to them to show that yes, we were listening and we heard you. And that's how I'd answer that.
Thank you,
Yes.
Melissa. So, thank you for all the participants, all the questions that you shared to us. So, and then hopefully we will be able to answer. And if you do some questions, so you can continue to send a message to us, and we will be able to send a message to you directly for your any additional questions. And yeah, Dr. Ackman will be going to share something.
Yeah, actually, I wanted to comment again. I can't hold myself commenting on this. It's now learning all these things. Actually, it's kind of scary, Melissa, because let's say I'm in a hospital in the States, and then there's a foreign nurse. Let's say I know that she just arrived a couple of weeks ago, and then she doesn't know all these things that you are mentioning, and then what kind of mistakes she can commit, right? So I would be really, concerned if that nurse is, I'm the patient, and then I have that nurse assisting me. So, and so imagine also if the employers, let's say, they know a nurse, a foreign nurse, went through your program, right? So if I don't know how many hours or how many days of program you're offering, but once they complete your program, and I assume they will receive a certificate, and I think that would be very valuable for an employer in the States to see a foreign nurse has been through this training from you, and then she can furnish a certificate of it. So do you think you're going to offer something like that?
Yes, I do offer certificates of completion. So I do offer certificates, and yes, it is. It does. I don't want to sound like scary, but it does tend to be the biggest issue or the biggest source of problems if an employer is un. I don't want to say that. I'm trying to find nice words. If there are problems that require remediation, if there's issues with international nurse, it tends to be language based. And they're usually able to pick up the different clinical skills, the different charting system pretty quickly. And when you hear from an employer that they have if they're unsatisfied with the nurse that was placed there, it from what I've heard from them, it usually is language issues.
Thank you.
Sure, it's a good question. Is it? If I'm happy to take another question. I have a little, as I said, so many scary things. I would love to leave you with some motivational, encouraging thoughts, but I'll wait till we finish taking questions before I do that. Let me know when.
Yeah, I think we can accommodate last one questions. Sir Gilbert and Zen, yeah, go ahead, just last one, and we'll
Yeah.
give the floor to Melissa.
From Stephen Ian. Hi, Melissa. I just want to thank you as MedTalk can really help everyone. Oh, I think it's not a question, but just thanking Melissa. Uh, Medication administration, that is why we limit verbal orders on emergent cases.
Yeah.
And let's see what are the questions we still have here. From Regine B. Maanyo, USRN, what advices can you give to nurses who first time took their job and experienced challenges, especially with difficult relatives? I think this is a good question
Yeah.
because I am
Yeah,
too
this is
a relative.
yeah, I have an entire this is a very good question. I have an entire chapter on talking to family because it's very difficult. Um, Man, it's hard for English speaking nurses too. It's hard for like a US native nurse too. So dealing with difficult patients, what I always like remembering, and this is what I tell myself, is that for you, it's an average Wednesday at work. And for them, this might be the worst day of their life, right? And so the first thing I do is channel some compassion and realize that oftentimes their misplaced anger is coming from fear. And so I first remember that because it's really hard when they can have an attitude with you and not be very nice. So to remember that usually if they're being mean, it's fear-based. And with that attitude, I try to make sure that they know in so many different ways that we say it that I see you, I hear you, right? So I say a lot of I understand how hard this must be and really letting them finish talking before I say I know how difficult this is. And I just you have to be careful with saying sorry in English because you can't apologize for certain things because of malpractice. Right. So, but we can say, I'm so sorry you're going through that. I'm so sorry you have to experience that. So we don't say, I'm so sorry for this happening. It's a malpractice thing, but we can say, I'm so sorry for that experience. I'm so sorry. This is so, like, you're struggling so much. I'm so sorry. I know this is so difficult. And saying that, and sometimes that's all you can really do.
Yeah, thank you so much for that, Melissa. Our participants are really active tonight, right? Yeah, so thank you everyone for joining the Q&A. And if you'd like to get access to exclusive classes and our full medical English course, make sure you are on the loop for announcements. Follow us on our socials shown on the screen or check out the messages in the chat box or in the comments.
Great. Thank you. And now I want to close with a few thoughts that I have of encouragement for you. Is now an okay time to do that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Yeah, so I wanted to thank you all again for coming. I really appreciate you being here. And I wanted to remind you a little bit about the good parts about this. So I'm not gonna lie, it is a really hard process. Like I said, I've walked hundreds of nurses through the process. It is really hard, but you're not alone. You're not alone in this process. So you have people at NEAC, for example. You have people like me who support you on the journey. You have your teachers, and most importantly, you have your friends, you have your peers in this. And I want to encourage you to ask for support for people and to build your own community of people that are on this journey with you. Which brings me to the next thing that I want to talk about, which is the importance of the people you surround yourself with. So one of the things I always love telling my students is you are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time with. You might have heard that quote, and I really believe this. So if you are on this journey, first of all, congratulations on taking a step to further your career, but also look at look to your left and to your right, metaphorically, at who you surround yourself by, and surround yourself with people who make you the best version of yourself and who encourage you to work hard if this is what you want, who help push you towards your dreams, because you will rise to meet the people that are around you, right? So surround yourself by people that encourage you. And then also, as nurses, we always think about how we can be good to our patients and how we can do good for our patients. But I also want to encourage you as you move along in the process to remember to be good to your fellow nurses and to not just be good to your patients, but to look behind you on who's a few steps behind you on this journey and reach a hand out and help bring them along. And if we were to all do this, if we were to all support each other and then reach back and help someone a step behind us, we would make a chain from where we are now, literally all the way to the top. So if we want support, we have to give support. So I encourage you to surround yourself by people who make you the best version of yourself and support someone who is a little bit behind in the process from you. And together we could make this not as scary and you could have support on this journey. So you can do it. I've seen many nurses do it. And we're here to support you along the way. Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you
Thank you
so
so much.
much. Thank you so much, medical English expert Melissa, for that speech, and for everyone who attended our webinar tonight. Yeah, Sir
Yes.
Gilbert.
Yeah, as we promised, we have giveaways, right? We will now pick the 5 winners for 30% off on NAAC initial service fee and the 5 winners of 200 pesos GCash. So we'll start the raffle. So everyone, or actually, of course, all the participants the names will be actually added here already. So yeah, just wait for our rollets.
It's too
Yeah,
small. Looks like we have a lot
a
of
lot of participants. Yeah,
participants.
you list your
Yeah.
name, Zen.
I don't know.
So let's go start.
We have a message from Dr. Elbe Ackman. We will have a 1,000 GCash winner. Someone will win. Wow. Is it okay to join, sir?
We have first winner, Miss Christina Ashbrook. So you win 200 pesos GCash. So our team will be continue to message you or regarding with your the contact number, email address. So we'll share the GCash. Just share your GCash account, and of course we'll send over the GCash 200 pesos. Yeah. So next, congrats. Yeah. And yes, we have another one, to Loida Crispo. So you get 200 pesos GCash. So we'll just send your GCash account, and we'll send over the GCash 200 pesos. Congratulations, Loida and Christina. So we have another three for GCash 200 pesos.
Wow, congratulations, Miss Belinda Aboga. Please wait for the message of our team for the details of your GCash account. Next one, please. Congratulations, Miss Eileen Tiongson. Please wait for the message of our team. Thank you. Last one for our 200 pesos GCash. Yes. Congratulations, Sir James Suarez. You won 200 pesos GCash from NEAC. Please wait for the message of our team. And now, our next prize is five winners of 30% off on our initial service fee.
Congratulations, Miss Twinkle Joy Agustin. So you get that 30% off for NAC initial service fee. So you just message our team if you would like to start your application for NCLEX or any other exams that you would like to avail. So you will having a 30% off for our initial service fee. Congratulations.
Wow, congratulations, Machine Valerie Salazar, for winning our 30% initial service fee. Next one, please.
Congrats.
Last one for our our third winner for our 30% discount service fee of NAC, Miss Joanna Marie Solomon. Congratulations, ma'am. Last two.
Okay lang? Yes. Trisha.
Yes. Yes, congratulations, Miss Trisha Tariman, for winning the 30% initial service fee of NAC. It's a discount from us. Thank you so much. Yes, lahat, hopefully, kung pwede lang lahat kayo mabunot. Let's wait for your name to be called on. Last one, yeah.
And
Yay! Mr. Clark and Terraso, congratulations. You're the last one who won the 30% initial service fee discount from NEAC. Congrats, everyone. Please wait from the
congrats.
message of our team, or you may also message us directly.
So now we will go for grand prize, 1,000 pesos GCash. So let's go.
I hope my name is there.
Yeah. Okay. And the winner, yeah, Miss Daisy May
Woo!
Montalaba. So congratulations. You won the 1,000 pesos GCash. So send over your account and we will be sending the 1,000 pesos cash. So congratulations to all the winners.
Yes, congratulations, everyone. Yeah. Miss Rose, do you have any last speech or any message to our team and everyone who attended our session tonight?
Yeah, so thank you so much. On behalf of our Dean, Reggie Bautista, Miss Celine, and the whole SPCF faculty and nursing students, thank you, NEAC and Melissa. Have a good night.
Yeah. Thank you so much, Miss Rose. It was fun and I learned a lot from today's session. Thank you, Gilbert, Miss Celine, and Miss Rose, and the whole SPCF for joining us tonight. To Melissa Avila for sharing your expertise. Thank you, nurses from India, Middle East, Africa, Mexico, London, USA, and the Philippines, of course. Don't forget to subscribe to our channel on YouTube as well as our social media, or visit our NEAC website at www.medexamcenter.com. Thank you all for tonight, folks. We hope to see you all again for another NEAC's global events.
Special thanks to Melissa Avila, USRN and NP. For SPCF, Miss Rose Sato, Miss Celine Guerra. MedTalk webinar is presented to you by NEAC, the global leader in NCLEX and medical licensing, core management, IT department and technical team, marketing team, graphics department, MedX Solutions.